Welcome to Harlem Liberation School. We are a dynamic black nationalist and Pan-Africanist organization headquartered in Harlem, dedicated to empowering black people to, in the words of Brother Malcolm X, wake up, clean up, and stand up. Our mission is to equip you with the tools and knowledge needed to resist oppression and build thriving, independent communities. Here you'll find powerful black political education, deep liberation theory, and historical insights that connect our past struggles to present-day solutions. Through many courses, engaging documentaries, and inspiring commentary, we provide actionable information designed to spark change. Join us for thought-provoking interviews with brilliant activists, educators, and institution builders as we unite to build a better future for black people worldwide. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace and black power. Hey you, I know you digging Harlem Liberation School, all those interviews and those mini documentaries. Stop playing, you know Harlem Liberation School is fire. So what you need to do right now, if you're watching on YouTube, is click that red subscribe button. Share the video, add your comments, and click the notification bell. Peace and black power family. Let me move this mic over. This is Brother Agyei Tyehimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we teach black people to wake up, clean up, and stand up. So delighted to be alive, to be able to present this to you. I'm so delighted that some of you have shown up in this live broadcast. Pardon me for the lateness of the broadcast. And family, you know, there's a lot to kind of go over. Number one, I'd like you to take some time right now, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. You can do that right now, family. That would be such a great thing. You know, as a creator of the channel, I have access to analytics, kind of metrics, so I can kind of see the percentage in terms of men or women that watch the channel, when most people watch, what videos are the most popular, which are the least popular. You know, family, 20 to 30,000 people come and watch Harlem Liberation School throughout the week, but there's only close to 2,500 subscribers. Now, family, that's ridiculous. If 20 to 30,000 people are coming through this channel to watch these videos, that means that we have to have a way of having to be stickier. In other words, more people that come through to watch the video should subscribe, right? So we're going to ask you all, please, to support us in that way. Support those who support you. Fight for those that fight for you. And with that said, so you know today is December 7th, and we are therefore in the season of, obviously everybody knows Christmas, but we're also in the holiday season of Kwanzaa. And although 35 million people celebrate Kwanzaa in 2024, the truth of the matter is many of us don't know what Kwanzaa is, who created it, why they created it, what's the big deal, when does it occur, and all those kind of basic things. There are quite a few videos that you can find on the internet that get into more of the in-depth stuff. In fact, you can definitely go look on the internet, search Maulana Karenga, Dr. Maulana Karenga, and go right to his official website, and he does a presentation every year, a special kind of presentation. And of course, he's the best qualified to answer the question of why Kwanzaa was created and how we celebrate it. So I will always encourage you to go back to the source. In this case would be Dr. Maulana Karenga, to find out the more specific things of Kwanzaa. There are also a few books you can look at as well. The goal of this broadcast is to give you the very basics. Why? Because something that I know as a scholar that I always think about is that people can have doctorate degrees, they can do dissertations or master's thesis, they can write these really great and important scholarly works, but compared to the total population of black people in America, very, very few black people read those works. Very few people read those works. However, you take a work like Malcolm X Speaks or the autobiography of Malcolm X or Fire Next Time by a James Baldwin type of book, reaches a lot more of our people, and therefore, in certain respects, it has greater impact. So I know that the highly detailed videos, everybody may not see those about Kwanzaa, but people that just want to know, well, when does it start? Who created it and why? What are the basic tenets of it, right? And how do I practice it? That's who this video is for. So if you know everything there is to know about Kwanzaa, this will probably bore you ridiculously. If not, stay tuned, family. I'm going to do a quick rundown. I like to shout out to Queen B in the building. Brenda Hilaire is saying Wukusu to the family. For those who do not know, Wukusu is an acronym, combines the phrase of Brother Malcolm, wake up, clean up, stand up. Wukusu. Put that in an acronym. It almost sounds like an African word, doesn't it? But really it's not. It's an acronym of those three phrases. Brother Malcolm gave it to us as a 3-part call. Very simple. Wake up, clean up, and stand up. And we use that as our greeting at Harlem Liberation School. So we greet you with Wukusu, family. Hope everyone is well. Hope that you're not allowing the pressures of having to buy the greatest gift, spend the most money, get to you in the capitalistic framework, but that you're understanding that you are the real gift. Believe that or not, you are the real gift, and your family and your loved ones, the people that truly love, support, and value you are the true gift, right? Don't forget our rich history, the people who have lived and died and sacrificed for us. Don't get too caught up that you get your priorities twisted, family. What are the things that you can't live without? Who are the people that you would not want to live without, right? And then you get a sense of what's really the gifts, the things that are irreplaceable, right? Okay, let's not be like the white man in that way. Having said that, I see Sister Sheila in the building, Wukusu. Thank you for joining. Now let's get to it, family. Remember, this is basic, all right? We're not going to get all in depth for this particular broadcast. Let me add this presentation to the stage. So we're talking about 11 things that you would want to know about Kwanzaa at the most basic level. And my hope is that more of you, if you don't already, will do more research and will actually begin to practice Kwanzaa. That would be a great thing. All right. So the first thing that is important to know is the origin of Kwanzaa. So to know that, you got to know Kwanzaa was created in 1966. 66 is a very important year. That is the year, formally, that most Black Power historians will tell you that the Black Power movement started. Coming off of the historic call by Stokely Carmichael, later became Kwame Nkrumah, during that march, that Meredith March Against Fear. When James Meredith was marching for getting more Black people to be courageous, he was walking through several states by himself, and he got shot, right, by a racist citizen. Shot him. He couldn't continue the march. So Dr. King and SCLC and SNCC said, you know what? We're not going to let the Meredith March Against Fear stop because James Meredith is in the hospital. So they continued the march. And on that march, at one of the stops in that march, is when Stokely Carmichael famously, and Mukasa Willie Ricks, shout out to Baba Mukasa in the building who's still alive, famously said, when they said, what do we want? Black power. And he had the troops, the young people saying that over and over, we want Black power. So the Black Power movement starts in 1966, and we have an emergence of several Black nationalist organizations. One of which was the US organization founded by Dr. Maulana Karenga. And it's important that we know US does not mean United Slaves. US means us versus them. Us, the pronoun, right? And US was one of the foremost cultural nationalist organizations. This means that they looked at everything through the prism, if you will, of culture. They felt culture is the totality of our existence. Everything we do is culture. How you think about politics is culture. The things you're prepared to kill for, to die for, to sacrifice for, culture. The way you dress, the way you speak, the types of people or the attributes you find attractive, culture, right? All of those things he lumped under culture. And he said that we wouldn't be liberated until we understood that we were forced to accept the culture of our oppressors, and we had to throw off the shackle of the culture of our oppressors. We had to reconnect with our culture, understand our views, get into balance with our own perspectives, our own priorities, look at our own hair, define our own beauty, right? Our own heroes and sheroes, right? So during this time, through this man, we get Kwanzaa. And he designed Kwanzaa for at least 4 or 5 reasons. One was to reconnect us to our African selves. Another was to point us, to politicize us and to activate us around certain principles, to create a moral center, an ethos. And so he designed Kwanzaa as a cultural celebration to help unify us and to uplift us and to point us in a political activist direction. Also remember that although I believe Brother Karenga came up on the East Coast, was born on the East Coast, by this time he's a young man, a young doctorate student living in Los Angeles. So he also saw this as a way to help to unify and strengthen and give Black people hope after the very destructive Watts riots or Watts rebellion or revolt in Los Angeles. All right. So as the initial background, that's important to know. In terms of the name and meaning, so let's say, first of all, the 60s is a time also when Black people in the States kind of unofficially adopted the language of Kiswahili or Swahili, which you find a lot in Eastern and Central Africa, as the official language of the African diaspora, so to speak. Right. So when you look through Kwanzaa, all of the references and the words and the symbols are named in Swahili language. So the word Kwanzaa itself comes from the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means the first fruits. And it honors traditional African harvest celebrations, emphasizes community, gratitude, and shared prosperity or abundance. So the first harvest was important because obviously this was like the payday, if you will, of ancient African societies. This is when that first harvest of the year comes through. People are eating. Families come together to pick their vegetables, to cook or prepare and to eat their vegetables. This was a big deal. And so when he's thinking of a way to conceive of a commemoration for African people or new African people, he thinks of, I'm going to frame this around this kind of an African first fruits harvest sort of festival. A lot of people confuse this, and this is very important. When is Kwanzaa celebrated? Kwanzaa is not Black Christmas, family. So it doesn't start on December 25th. And to make sure that it wouldn't be confused as a Black Christmas, we put it on the day after Christmas. So Kwanzaa starts on December 26th and it runs to January 1st. It's an entire week. And that's kind of cool because that gives us a real good amount of time to be together as family, to have fellowship with each other, to discuss some of these principles, to learn together, participate in cultural festivities, right? So he saw this week-long celebration as leading us right into the new year in the right spirit, focusing on renewal, reflection, rebirth, so to speak. You 1 second. Let us move on. Now, the one second, fam. I'm sorry. This holiday is centered around the 7 principles called the Nguzo Saba. Again, in Swahili. And most of you, I'm sure, watching this know this. And they all have a specific order. Umoja, or unity. Kujichagulia, or self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Thank you. Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Nia, or purpose. Kuumba, for creativity. And Imani, for faith. These are important because they frame the entire holiday. The holiday, remember, family, this is not just a time to be together and party and hear music and dance. This is a time to reconnect to our culture, and it's a time to really give serious thought about the way we live our lives, the things we should be doing, not just during the 1 week of Kwanzaa, but throughout the year. So once you think about those different principles for a minute, what happens when Black people unify? What happens when the Black people who's like, America is not too bad, it just got a few problems we got to work out? And those people unite with the people who say, nah, man, this whole country is crap. We got to get rid of it. We got to dismantle this country as we know it and create it from scratch, recreate it. And those people, both of those people, unite with the people who said, we need our own nation somewhere else. What happens when those different parties are able to look past their ideological differences and work together to the degree they can? Unity, umoja. What happens when Black people say, you know what? I'm going to stop thinking that in order to have class and to be culture, I got to play the violin. That's a choice of instrument I might play, but I could also play the talking drum and be classy, right? I could also play the thumb piano and be cultured. What happens when we redefine what is attractive? When now we looking in magazines and we're looking at a beautiful dark-skinned sister, and now women and men alike are saying, wow, she's beautiful. Look at her skin. I need you to understand there was a time we were never saying that. It's very in vogue now, but back in the 40s and 30s, Black people wasn't thinking like that. A whole lot of us weren't. Of course, those of y'all following Garvey were, or the Nation of Islam, but a lot of people saw Black and being dark complected as being ugly. And that wasn't too long ago. And some of us still do. But imagine when we define beauty for ourselves, success for ourselves, right? Think about how that would radically change our lives and our communities. How that would change our young people. How, if we were to redefine, what does it mean to be educated? What does this person is well educated? What does that look like? What does that mean? Does that mean he went to this college? Well, maybe. Or does it mean they know how to do this? They have a certain skill set. They conduct themselves in a loving and empathetic way, compassionate way with their community. That they put things on this earth and in this planet that our people need to survive and thrive. See, it changes everything if we can really understand and embrace these particular principles, family. Ujamaa, or rather Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Imagine if Black people one day woke up and said, we're going to list out everything we need in our community. Every single institution, service, business that we need. And then they created every single thing we needed in our community and operated it. And we had a supermarket that wasn't owned by Tyehimba, but was owned by an association of black people. Maybe 100, 200, 300 different black people working together to own one enterprise, cooperatively owned. That means that the profits are divided amongst more than one person or family. It means that because so many people are contributing, we can amass a great deal of money. We can now go and buy produce and meat and herbs in bulk. And that means we can offer great discount to our community. Because we own it, that means we can hire family members and people in our block or in our neighborhood to run that supermarket. But imagine if we were thinking like that. And instead of complaining about what's pricey here, what they don't do, what they haven't done, and how they treat us, we start building the things we need for self, right? And we start getting the black consumer dollar. And we start hiring our own children. Are y'all feeling me? Like, think about if you could hire your own kids. Let's say you got kids, they teens. Instead of sending them out to this world, you could hire them yourself because they're working in your supermarket, your department store. Think about it, family. Right? Your community police formation, whatever it is, right? So think about the mind of this man and his organization. In 1966, he's a young man, family, back then, that's thinking like this. And imagine if we all embrace that and we move towards that, or even if a decent group of us embrace that, right? Cooperative economics, NIA, purpose. You know, one key thing you can do to see where a person's mind is at. It's like, yeah, man. So what's your plan? What you trying to do? Between today? Hey, you tell me what you're trying to do today. I was thinking maybe in the next 3 years. Next 5 years. What's your plan? What are you here for? What you mean on the block? No. On this earth. What's your purpose for being here? That distinguishes you, family, see, because when you know why you're here, or at least believe why you're here, that can change your whole trajectory of your life. It can make you resilient, bounce back from all types of tragedies. It can make you think, no matter what goes on in your life, you're thinking optimistically because you're here for a what? Reason. Not just a season. So that alone, I'm here to be the greatest mechanic that our community has ever seen. The greatest poet, the greatest singer, the greatest performer, the greatest teacher, the greatest artist, whatever. That singular thing can keep you out of getting in trouble, can keep you from making really potentially dysfunctional decisions that can ruin your life. So you think about that. Just having purpose. Do you know, family, what me having purpose kept me away from using drugs, even smoking a cigarette, drinking liquor, running with certain people? Yeah, man, it's real. This is real talk here. Kuumba, creativity. A white man named Howard Gardner wrote a book in which he talked about multiple intelligence theory. And, you know, until this book, a lot of educators felt like if you couldn't read really fast, if you didn't have great reading comprehension, if you couldn't write really well, and if you couldn't articulate very well, you weren't intelligent. If you didn't do math really great. And he said, no. There's a whole bunch of different types of intelligence. And that opened up the world to say, wow, this child I had that doesn't talk particularly much, doesn't do math, into math or debating, but the way that they can relate to other people, put people at ease, make people feel comfortable, right? Get people out of their shell, make people want to work together. That's a form of intelligence. People can lead big projects and institutions, who can take an idea from invisible to physical. That's a form of intelligence. All of these things. So what Kuumba teaches us is that having that left-sided rational brain is great, but you got to pair it with that creative, intuitive consciousness brain, right? And then finally, something that is very important, and it's invisible. And what I like is that there's a spiritual element to these things. I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but this thing of Imani, faith, family. A lot of us say, I'll see that. I believe that when I see it. You talk, oh, one day I'm going to, oh yeah, I hear you, but when I see it, nope, you got it wrong. Because everything that you can see and touch started invisible. It started with an invisible idea. You say, Agyei, prove that. You're something that we can see, feel, and touch, right? You started with an invisible idea that two people acted on. And now you're here. The chair you're sitting in, the computer you're watching this on, the microphone I'm speaking into, everything, the flat screen, the lighting, the bed, everything that's physical started with an invisible, intangible idea that was in someone's head, family. That's the way this works. We've been taught wrong. But once we understand that, we know it's the invisible that guides the visible and the physical. This is why Malcolm used to say, actually George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic said, get your ass right, your mind right, and your ass will follow. Are y'all catching that? The mind is invisible. The brain is a physical thing, but the mind is invisible. You get that right, and other things will fall in line. So he's reminding us that all of these things without faith ain't gonna work. This ain't on no religious tip either. It don't matter what religion is saying, you gotta believe, family. And one of the things that I sense in our communities is that we lost faith in each other. There used to be a time when a person said, I want to do this. And people, oh, word, man, tell me more about that. Oh, well, how you going to do that? Why are you interested in that? Okay. Let me see some of your art. Let me hear your poetry. Let me hear your song. Let me see your dance. Let me hear your speech or whatever. And people will be excited about that. Maybe some family members, community of folk, and would give people that space to demonstrate this talent or talk about their idea. I don't see that or hear that as much anymore. We're not upholding that, it would appear, as much. People are not feeling supported. People are not feeling like people believe in them. People are not feeling like we become very transactional. You give me this, and I'll give you that. If your idea don't make $1 million tomorrow, then it's not a good one. You said you was doing the business. It's been 10 years. What's going on? That type of thinking, that limited poverty consciousness, okay, master, whatever you say type thing. We gotta kill that, family. And when you look at these 7 principles, man, Brother Maulana Karenga, as a 20, might have been younger than 20, to put this together that young is really amazing. He's brilliant. Forget what you heard. People calling him this and that. Listen, I don't know about all that. I know this. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. He has 2 doctorate degrees. He's written the groundbreaking work in African American Studies, Intro to African American Studies. If you're in African American Studies, you read at least one of his books. So that's the other thing we need to know. The 7 principles. Now, connected to the 7 principles is how we greet each other in Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, hopefully, family, and hopefully we will pick this up even the other days of the year. I would imagine that as a Black Power movement leader and community organizer and intellectual, he probably was tired of hearing us say the N word, calling each other the B word. You know, that's my B, that's my N. And then we got the nerve to make it possessive. That's my B, that's my N, right? And so he introduced something interesting, a different way to greet each other. And he built that greeting around the 7 principles. So during Kwanzaa, somebody comes up to you, they say, "Hey, Sister Habari Gani, brother Habari Gani," as a question. We know that that's Swahili, as we covered earlier, and that means, "What's up? What's going on? What's the news?" It's a greeting, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, when you're responding to that question, Habari Gani, what's the good news, right? The person you would say, or the person you're asking, depending on the day it is of Kwanzaa, would respond differently. On the first day of Kwanzaa, that would be the first principle of the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, they would say, "Umoja." The second day of Kwanzaa, when you say Habari Gani, they would say, "Kujichagulia," and so on and so forth. So it's hot how he kind of baked into this a way that we talk to each other. And he did it in a way where you're forced to reflect on the particular principle of the day. That's kind of hot if you think about it, right? Okay. Also, some of the symbols that are in Kwanzaa that you may see on a typical sort of a Kwanzaa image, a flyer, a poster, is the mazao. That's the crops, representing harvest and collective labor. And again, Kwanzaa is built around African first fruit festivals. These are big, important events in ancient Africa, right? And it's not just the event itself, it's what they represent. Imagine the whole community has been planting during a certain season, and now this is the time they come out to reap the rewards of all that labor. People are eating, right? People are paid, in a sense, for all the work they've done. And it's a community thing. The whole community comes out and celebrates this. There's drumming, there's dancing. Some of the elders will come up and speak. The griots will come up and talk about the history and the importance of the crops and eating and coming together. It's a big deal. When you see that mazo, you see sometimes there'll be ears of corn or something representing crops. It represents that harvest and the fact that we worked together and now we benefit together. Also, you have the Kokombe Cha Moja. That's, again, Swahili for unity cup. That's used for libations. You know the libations. The elder gets up and names almost a form of prayer mixed with affirmation in a way where they're kind of giving thanks and praise to the ancestors who are now in another dimension, no longer physically here. They're giving thanks. So they might talk about great leaders of the village that are gone. They might talk about their own biological family members or friends that are gone, to show the connection that, unlike other people, we are giving thanks and praise for those who came before us. We are not self-made men and women. We are village and community-made men and women, and we're giving thanks for that. And every time the person says a name, they pour that water into the soil, and the community collectively says Ashe, right, in response. Then you got the Makeka, which is the mat, like a mat that a Muslim might pray on, like almost like a rug. And that's supposed to represent the foundation of our history, our traditions in our history. Okay? Again, very basic. The very basic, family. I'm going to see if I can get my man Scott Brown on, Dr. Scott Brown, to maybe talk about Kwanzaa. The Kanara is very important. The Kanara is the candle holder that you see used at during Kwanzaa, and it has its candles. It holds 7 candles. Why 7 candles? Because there's 7 principles. The Nguzo Saba. The black candle, which there's 1, goes in the middle of that candle holder. Why does the black candle go in the middle? Because the black candle represents us, black people. And it also represents the first principle of Kwanzaa. Some would say one of the most important, unity. So you light that candle first, and it's in the middle. Now, on the left side of that black candle, you have the red candles, which there are 3. And then on the right side of black candle, you have the green, 3 green candles. And just like the flag, red represents black represents the people, red represents the struggle of our people, our resistance against white supremacy and oppression in any form, our willingness to not just fight against white people, family, but to build the things we need. We can't just be fighting them all day. We got to build stuff that our people need to sustain themselves too. And then the green represents the hope for the future, our progeny, our posterity, our children, the future of our race, so to speak. Right? And so each day you'll go to that Kanara and you will light the candle that corresponds with the particular principle. And what happens is you start with a moja and then you go from left to right, lighting those candles, each candle representing one of the 7 principles. Another thing that's important is some of the other daily rituals is when you're lighting those candles, you're going to discuss each principle. So for instance, you might have one of the children will come up and light the black candle, Umoja. They'll break down what unity is. They'll talk about how important it is for their family to demonstrate Umoja. When they had let's say a speaking contest, the family came out. The little sister, the mom and dad came. Some aunts and uncles came, some cousins came, grandma and grandpa came, aunts, and they all came to the school to hear little man give his speech, or to hear his sister play her piano. Everybody came out. Everybody that could come out came out, because it says we support each other, particularly when we're doing good, righteous work in the community, when we're showing signs of high performance, of working hard. Even if a kid gets a B grade, and we're like, man, I remember they was getting all D's. Hey, good job. You're doing good. You're barely finishing projects. Now you're finishing everything. We show progress, and that the community supports that, right? So in our community, you may have 20 uncles and 13 aunts because some of the people who are family friends are considered close, like family, right? So in sociology, we call that extended family. Some peoples don't have that as much as we Africans do. So this time you light the candles, you state that principle, and you break down what the principle is about and ways that we can exemplify or demonstrate that principle in our daily lives. Something is important for everyone to understand. People get this wrong all the time. We have a significant atheist community, and we have a significant black agnostic community, which is kind of like saying, I don't really know if I believe in a God or supreme being. And so a lot of people say, well, I don't, that's that religious. I don't do the religious stuff. It's important that you know and be able to tell your family members and friends, Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. Dr. Mulan Karenga made sure that it would not be a religious holiday because he had lived and had seen, he's one of 14 children, by the way, and a really big family. I'm sure he had seen some of the conflicts that can occur when people argue over religion and debate over there's a God and can't come together around those issues. So he didn't really want to play any part in that. Kwanzaa, therefore, isn't tied to any religion. It's a cultural celebration. It is supposed to complement rather than so-called replace Christmas. It's not trying to be antagonistic with Christmas, although it is trying to give people an alternative, right? To say that there's a different way we can look at gifts. There's a different way we can look at giving. And so you'll notice that that's going to come up a little bit. He does things in the holiday to give us a different look, a different way of thinking on things, but it's not to necessarily beat up on Christmas. It's not to replace Christmas. It's none of that, right? You can celebrate Kwanzaa whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, or agnostic. It is not a religious holiday, and therefore it's very important we spread that so we have as many people participate as possible. When I was coming up, I'm going to say definitely in the 80s and 90s, I was in heavy rotation at these Kwanzaa events all over New York City. If I was living in upstate, come down and we participate. St. John and Divine had some of the greatest Kwanzaa celebrations I can remember. Brooklyn Academy of Music, or known as BAM, had some of the greatest Kwanzaa celebrations I can remember. And we would come down, it would be dancing and food, poetry, vendors from all over the place, keynote speakers. It was just a beautiful, sometimes we see parts of a film. It's really a beautiful time to kind of come together as a community. And that's really what Kwanzaa is about. It's not about hating on anybody's religion. We're not going there, family. Okay? That's important to remember. So in conclusion, family, that really wraps up 11 things that you should definitely know about Kwanzaa at the most basic level. And hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, family, we humbly ask that you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel right now, family, while you're watching. Just click right on that red button and subscribe and help us to grow and expand our ability to reach more people. If 20 to 30,000 people come to see this channel every week, imagine if we get more of them to subscribe. More tools unlock and are available to us when we do that, and we reach more Africans and people throughout this planet. And we believe this information, we're not the only ones that give good information, but we stand on what we give here. For sure, it's credible. You can come here, no, you're not going to hear no nonsense. You're not going to hear nothing divisive. You're not going to hear anything backwards or reactionary. It's all going to be right and exact and good and wholesome for our people, even if we disagree with it, right? And so with that said, family, we hope that you help us to create more good content on our culture, history, and our politics. And if you have any suggestions, we welcome them. Let's give a few minutes, family, if you have any questions or comments or any of those type of things you'd like to say. Please hit me up. Anything anyone wants to say, talk about. While you do that, I will go through some of the things I see in the comment. I see the Queen Bee has been active now in this comment section. She says in one of her last comments, let us get back to that, family. How I yearn to have our people love on each other authentically. Love on each other authentically. Love on each other authentically. That's important. Love, not just self-love, on each other from the heart in a good spirit, not begrudgingly, not reluctantly, like how we get concessions from white institutions. We got to fight them. We got to bang on them. We got to protest. We got to boycott. We got to picket and sit in. And they give those concessions grudgingly. Okay, let me sign this Voting Rights Act. Get these Negroes off my case. Not like that. We give the love and we feel good. We give the love to the people. And we have Natari Bracy Neblet says she's here, beloved brother. And Ashe back to you, my sister. Family, if there are any questions or comments, if not, we are going to sign off and let you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening as we enjoy ours. I don't see any comments. I don't see any questions. So with that, family, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned something about Kwanzaa you didn't already know. And we promise to come back with at least another video that's a little bit more specific. Let's see. That's my man, Brother Rollo from the Fact Project. He asked, do you suggest that the Ngubu Saba be talked about throughout the year? Brother Rollo, first of all, this brother has a really great show. He's written a book called, I believe it's called Facts, or Fact. It's an acronym. Very good book. Very, very good book. Comprehensive information that y'all need to check out and read. Brother Rollo, please feel free to put in the comments the name of the book, and even feel free to put the link to the book if YouTube will allow. Sometimes they don't allow certain links. To answer his question, absolutely, we need to be talking about the Nguzu Saba all year. Whether we frame it as this is the Nguzu Saba, or we just say, hey, family, we got to stop the bickering. Listen, I just did a video saying we got to watch our mouths. The way we talk to each other and about each other is not good. When we disagree politically, we got to stop this calling people out their names. What's that? That's talking about. And I said, we need alliances. That's unity. That's teaching umoja. So yes, my brother, every single one of those principles. And we can be creative in how we do. We don't have to always say, now we're going to talk about umoja. But we should always be living and teaching and practicing umoja and thinking about ways, creative ways in the spirit of Kuumba to manifest these different principles, right? So what are some creative ways we can bring people together? Well, the old school, hardcore grassroots community organizers would have events. Now, how can we get people to sign up for our organization, know more about our organization, right? Support our organization, get donations, and reach people? We're going to have a community event. We can't always come right to them, but we can have an event that comes to us. When they come to us, we're going to have tables. We're going to sign them up. You feel me, fam? This is grassroots community organizing work. You got people that's signing people up to committees, joining your organization. You're getting their emails, your contact information, right? You have capacity to accept donations right there. You have a keynote speaker. You got your kids. You got face painting for the little boys and girls going on. You got the bouncy thing the kids can get on, right? You got the bomb DJ playing that bomb music that the community likes. You see how we did that? We creatively brought our people together, gave our people an empowering message, collected donations, promoted our organization, signed people up in one event, right? That's Kuumba. Because some people think, I got to knock on every door in every building. Well, that's one way to do it. Black people don't tend to appreciate people coming up knocking on their door. So you might want to do the event, right? And then you bring people out. And then you're handing out your cards, huh? Your website is on there and all that. People can come check you out. So yes, Brother Rollo, in every way we can, we need to teach the Nguzu Saba. And you know what's deep? What Brother Karenga did so young. We're talking 1966. I believe this man is 84 years old now. That gives you a sense of how long ago he did this. Probably in his 20s. The fact that when you look at the 7 principles he outlined and think about the people in your community that you respect, that's doing that work that you want to be like or you admire, I bet you're going to see 2, 3, 4, or maybe all 7 of those principles in their work. You're going to see it. Say, oh yeah, this person builds things that everybody can, and they encourage people to get out. Yeah. They're encouraging people to stop, the divisions. Umoja. Cooperative economics. They're always talking about believe in your brother or sister. Faith. All of that is baked right in. So his ability to tap into that and codify it, give it language and teach it is really incredible. And I really think you all have to read up on that Kawaida theory. He has a whole theory, family, that Kwanzaa comes out of this theory, but there's a whole lot to that theory. So yes, Brother Rollo, thank you for that. Brother Clement says respect, peace to the brother. Native American Readings says, Allahu Akbar, Professor, another class of truth, freedom, justice, and equality, peace, and black power. That's what we aim for. Thank you for that. But the Rollo says, Asante Sano, or thank you very much. And the Queen says, peace and greetings to every family member who joined us this evening. Family, do us a favor, subscribe and share this with other people. Let's start making a pact to do our part by promoting. We don't just have to hate what the white man does or other black people. We can actually say, I'm still going to promote and support the black people I do agree with. I'm going to support the initiatives that I think are worthy and valuable. And it's not always about giving money. Sometimes about volunteering time, sharing their events. We had one brother, Mark McPhee, used to work with Harlem Liberation School. He used to share people's events. And we might think that's a small thing, but that's a huge contribution to make sure that the community knows the things that's going on Brother Shep, one of the original Black Panther Party members, does a miraculous job through his newsletter, his email, sharing events all the time, you know. So yes, now we have Native American Reading says, I would love to listen about the revolutionary legacy and name of Sheik Brother Samori Marksman. Peace. Okay. Yes, man. That's something we can talk about. You hit me up at the email. You can hit me up at harlemlschool@gmail.com. And maybe we can get in touch on the phone. We can talk about that. We can build on that and see how we can make that happen. Family, I want to thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to sign off, family. I'm going to chill out with my queen over here. Hug her up a little something. And we'll be catch up with my brothers and sisters later. Peace. Black Power Kusu, family. We got this. We will win. We will win. You got to believe it. The last principle of Kwanzaa is faith. You ain't going nowhere without faith, family. So believe in your people, in the best of our people. Peace.